Okay, so a lot of people ask about bounce rigs. When I started fishing in Utah, we fish a thing called a bounce rig. It's often referred to as the Provo Bounce Rig. And the thing that's really interesting about this rig is you have some weight at the bottom of the rig. And what that weight does is actually ticks along the bottom of the river, therefore slowing your flies down to the pace of the lower waters. And then you're just mending your bobber to control the speed a little bit more. So it can be extremely effective, but there are some tricks to learn to tie this in a correct manner so that you can have some success. Number one is I go 12 to 18 inches of butt section material from like a standard monofilament leader. I come down to a tippet ring with a clinch knot on that. Now here's where it starts to change. I do 3 feet of 2x or greater fluorocarbon tippet, and I come down to that on my next point, which is another tippet ring. That 2x or greater is a heavier line, and the reason I like that heavier line, and you could probably get away with it with the new Euro or Oro style bobbers a little better, but that heavier line allows me to attach a thingamabobber or something like that in that area that doesn't want to slip. It's a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker, gives me something a little bit more to bite on. I connect my indicator in there, which is going to give me my depth variation. So most places I know I'm really only going to have a 3-foot variance in my depth that I might be adjusting to. So now I'm into my tippet ring, right? As we had mentioned on the end of that 2x. And when I come from my tippet ring, what I do is I start to run about 1.5 times the depth of my fishing area, right? And I use about a 4x or smaller usually to start. In my area, they like smaller bugs. They're a little bit more picky. So I usually run around a start with a fat 5x at the largest and then break down from there. So when I do that, I come down with my, let's say, 5x, and I begin to tie in a series of tags. And those tags are tied in with surgeon's knots, triple surgeon's knots. And each triple surgeon knot is tied in so that the running line ends up being the bottom tag. And that's what I utilize for the tag. And I tie in the next section again. The running line of that tag then becomes the running section of the next tag. And then I tie in one more. So I want to end up with 3 tags because I'm going to run 2 flies. So my first fly I like to use, again, I would run, say, 5x, and then I would drop 1 or 2 sizes each time I tied in another tag. And the reason I do that is so that the lowest point on the leader is the weakest point, and so if it hangs up in anything, it's going to break off. So when you see the next few sections, you'll understand that perhaps a little bit more. One is I tie in my first one, I clinch knot my fly in. Tie in my next tag, okay, I clinch my fly in. And my last tag, what I do is I actually attach, say, 3 to 5 really small pieces of lead split shot. And the reason I say 3 to 5 and really small is that the smaller you go, the smaller increments you can for adjusting up or down, number one. Number two is when you connect multiples in a row and they're touching each other, you actually create an anchor that wants to roll over like baby head rocks and slink along the bottom and not end up in hangups. When you use heavy ones, the heavy ones tend to get real heavy, go straight to the bottom, and as they drag or tick along, they get hung up in those little wedges under those baby head rocks, etc., and get hung up more often. This slinking aspect will actually cause you to not hang up quite as often. And again, that's where you see that tag is the smallest and weakest point of the leader. So if I do hang up and I have to break off, I can break off and save my 2 flies. So there you have it. That's a bounce rig scenario. Give it a try. If you have not tried it, it's extremely deadly. Some people don't prefer it. I understand that. They see it as almost like a cheating scenario. I don't understand why, but it is a scenario that is extremely effective. So if you like this video, give us a like and follow us on the podcast or YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. You guys take care.